How many businesses have you started with full force motivation just to lose steam a couple months later? Or worse yet, you're doing really well with your businesses and then you decide to do side quests. You're doing really well with homekeeping services, so you decide to do tax prep and bookkeeping on the side during tax season. It's only tax season, like it's 3-4 months out of the year. What's the harm in that? You're waiting for license to come back from state, and in the meantime, you go into partnership with a sleazy vending machine guy from the internets, and then he gets ghost with your $7,000 investment and you never hear from him again. Does this sound familiar, or do you resonate with any of these examples? I mean, I sure do. They're literally all my examples. In this video, I will talk about the one trait that I learned that helped me focus and be uber successful in my current business. And stay till the end so I can tell you all the opportunities, big ticket opportunities that I said no to in order to focus with my in-home care agency. Hi, my name is Maryam, U.S. Army veteran, former Miss Pakistan finalist, and I currently own a super successful in-home care agency here in California. More than that, I've recovered from dangerous habits and addictions and currently living the life of my dreams serving others. And I want the same for you. And if you want the same for you, please stick around and watch my video. Let's be homies. I started and failed over half a dozen businesses in the last 12 years. I've gotten myself into debt not once, not twice, but 3 times. I've gotten myself successfully out of debt all 3 times, and this time last year, I was in $36,000 debt. And all this came from learning one lesson, and that lesson is learning how to focus on one thing and one thing only. So how do you tell an overcommitter to not do more? How do you tell somebody who's used to taking on any and every task that's thrown their way? How do you do less? Tell me. The excuses that I would come up with is, how do I know that it's gonna get done? If I don't do it, nobody's gonna do it. Nobody can do it as good as I can. Of course I can help. I always wanna help. I genuinely thought the more that I did, the more I would get out of it. I remember this day very vividly. I was going to my office and my intention was to solely work on my in-home care agency. Like, that was the only thing I was gonna do when I got there. As soon as I got there, I opened up my inbox and my inbox was screaming for my attention. There was documents my family needed translated. There were last minute items that if I didn't get it to that person that day, the world was gonna end for them. My tenants were messaging me about yet another leak in the bathroom. My group assignment, where I was a self-appointed president for, needed my immediate attention. By the end of the day, I realized that not only did I not accomplish anything that I had set out to do, but I was frustrated, I was upset, and I was angry. I know if you're watching it up until now that you totally relate. Have you ever overcommitted to someone, something, or an event and then resented that person, place, or thing? Please tell me in the comments below, because I just remember being so angry at everyone except myself. I was so upset at literally everyone else but myself, but in that moment, I realized I'm the one that created that environment. I decided to do an audit of my time. And the way that I did my audit was to go back 2 months on my calendar and go line by line and see what was taking up my time that was not my priority and it was somebody else's, what moved me towards my goals, and what kept me back. Lo and behold, 90% of my calendar were commitments to other people. Right then and there, I picked up my phone and I called my family first. And I told them I loved them with all my heart, but I no longer was going to help them in any capacity. They needed to figure it out for themselves. If they can't translate documents, there's people that will be doing it for payment. And I completely removed my assistance to my family and allowed them to be self-dependent and learn how to cope without me. And they are doing fine just without me. I decided to sell my property then too. I had property and tenants, and the sheer amount of energy that I had to use just to have a couple $100 extra a month was just not worth it. There was constant issues with the property, not to mention tax season. We had to do Schedule E, like, don't even get me started. It was just not worth the investment to me. So I actually sold my property. I even decided to stop going to school, and I love going to school. I've been a lifelong learner, and this was a master's program that I was thoroughly enjoying, but I realized that I needed to focus and narrowly focus on nothing but my business. I also realized that this overcommitment to people, places, situations came from a sort of anxiety where anytime I would get bored or overwhelmed with the task that I was doing, I would look for a quick gratification or quick way to feel better about myself, and that came in the form of making sure people people knew that I was helpful. And it came from being a people pleaser. And that realization hit home for me when I cut off all communication to my family as far as offering any kind of help or making myself available to other people that needed me for whatever they decided they needed me for at that moment, and solely focused on myself. I realized that anytime I would get overwhelmed or even bored, I would be off looking for the next adventure or thing. Do you have a time in your life where you took back control? Everything was kind of just spiraling and you realized that you were the one that was causing it? Taking back control can be a little terrifying, and it really shines a light on who you are as a person. So please tell me in the comments below, we could talk about it. I would love to say that I lived happily ever after and I had nothing but success afterwards, but that was not the case at all. Not the case. Learning not to do things is much harder than to do things. I've learned that saying no was really hard for me in the beginning, and saying yes was just easier because I didn't want to upset the person. I didn't want to let anybody down, or I felt like that was an opportunity for me that I just needed to take, and saying yes would bring me closer to my goals. I've learned now that it's the no's that I said no to that brought me significantly closer to any accomplishments that I've had in the past year or two. Now when I feel like I need to do something else or volunteer for an activity or ask people for help that they didn't ask for, I take a look at what I'm trying to avoid, and 9 times out of 10, it's something that I don't want to deal with my business. For example, I am really great with hiring, onboarding, and interviewing, but I am terrible at sales and marketing, and I decided that I needed to take a random course to make sure that I can learn it. But what I also realized that I didn't have the time commitment for this sales course. So I decided to just full on focus on the sales and marketing. I had to make a hard stop on my previous commitments, any shiny objects, cancel trips with my friends, and renegotiating my time budget is what allowed me to launch my business into the stratosphere. I had nothing but my business to focus on. Like, it took my full energy and effort for it to be successful. And I experienced that by saying no to everything that wasn't my business. The success that I had with this one business is more than all of the half dozen businesses combined. And that's because this was my sole purpose. A byproduct of being more intentional about the things that I say yes to and the things that I say no to, I've also learned to delegate and to hire people that will give me back more time. I've been blessed to have amazing people around me during this time in my business, and I have been able to offload some of my responsibilities. Nowadays, I'm looking for more things to say no to. One of my biggest marketing flex is to say that the in-home care agency is all that I do. Not many business owners or entrepreneurs can say that. A lot of them have so many irons in the fire that not only are my employees impressed or surprised that this is my sole focus, but so are my clients. I have had the great fortune of having clients tell me the quality and depth that I've been able to bring to them from my services that I provided because of how much time and energy that I can put into this, because this is my only focus. Let's say you're in the market to hire a wedding planner. Would you rather have a wedding planner that this is all they've been doing for the last however many years that they're doing, and their full focus is on you and what you need as the people who are using their service? Or would you much rather hire a wedding planner that has had multiple other businesses going on at the same time? She doesn't make time for certain priorities, or you feel second to the third, fourth, or fifth obligation that she has? To me, there's an obvious choice. Before we end this video, I wanted to list 4 things that I said no to in order for me to focus on my business. I said no to an elderly boarding home ready to go with 6 clients that was generating monthly a recurring revenue of $15,000. I said no to a partnership with a really good friend of mine to launch an app for elite international dating with high wealth individuals. I said no. I said no to a federal position at one of the bases here in California that was a level 9 or 12, came with benefits, came with a step up because of my prior service, and I declined it because I wanted to focus on my business. Permanent check, probably for the rest of my life. I said no. And since launching this business, I have had countless people reach out to me for mentorship for the in-home care licensing, and I said no. I don't want to be paid for mentorship. For the last one though, if you are interested in my mentorship, I have a school platform where I host weekly meetings on Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and I just talk and help people who I can who show up. So it's totally free. I wanted it to be free because I didn't want to have the obligation of somebody paying me for a service, and then I had to focus on that. So if you're interested, I'll leave the school link below and in the comments. Thank you for staying till the end. Does that mean you love me? Because I love you. Bye.